Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Rohloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on GovTV for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest local news updates for the City of Oshkosh, as well as an upcoming preview of the Common Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Rohloff. Thanks for joining us today, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's great to have you. As usual, we've got a lot to talk about, a lot going on in Oshkosh right now, so we're going to go ahead, dive into the first half of our show and go over some of the hot topics that are happening right now. We'll take a little break, and then we'll return with a review of the council meeting agenda for Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. So Mark, first thing that we want to mention here is a little recap on the election that happened last Tuesday. We have a new council member here.
Yes, we do. In addition to two of our incumbents, Lori Palmieri and Steve Herman, Matt Mugerauer will be joining the council. Always happy to welcome new members of the council, and we'll be doing so. The council will be approving the canvassing of the voters at the council meeting on Tuesday, and Mr. Mugerauer will be joining the council on April 17th.
Yes, and that's when the organizational meeting will take place, which is kind of, a lot of...
There's several things that need to get done.
Yeah.
Council rules, if there's any changes, council can do that.
Right.
There's also the election of the deputy mayor amongst the council members. So that's a very important role. But the meeting doesn't take that long. It's essentially those are the two issues. But it'll be Tuesday, April 17th at noon.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be on GovTV, of course. And it's always a happy day because, new people on the council, they're very excited, anxious to get started.
Definitely. So welcome to Matt. We look forward to working with you. And that meeting, the organizational meeting, will be broadcast on GovTV on April 17th. So you can watch it live on GovTV or on our website, oshkoshmedia.org. Up next here, National Library Week starts next week, April 8th to the 14th. And this is a really cool celebration here in Oshkosh. It's the second annual National Library Week, and a lot of really great things going on that week. So Mark, what are some of the things that we can take advantage of?
The whole purpose of Library Week is to get the public aware of all the services and resources that are available at our public library. And so we've, at the library, they've really come up with some great little promotion, working with a lot of great businesses. And if you bring your library card with you to any of the participating local businesses, you're going to get a deal. Some of it's, I've seen buy one, get one. Mm-hmm. I've seen 10% off. Many different things that are available.
There's a lot of businesses.
I think Jeff Gilderson Dewey said there were 80 different businesses participating. So
mm-hmm.
a lot of different interesting things. And if you go there to one of these businesses, restaurants, or et cetera, you'll be given a slip that you can fill out, take back to the library, and then you can enter a drawing for some other exciting prizes. So yes. A lot of different things. There's some great information out there at the library's website. I encourage people to look at it, see what businesses are out there. I have a little brochure, a lot of really cool things.
Really good stuff, yeah.
So I'll be bringing my library card out next week, and if there's any the businesses that I come across that I can get a good deal, I'll be going for it.
Yes, it's a great way to raise awareness, like you said, about how great our library is. The mantra for the Oshkosh Public Library is a library in every life. And so just a great opportunity to check out their website, see some of the things that are available, and it's a lot more than just books. So definitely check out their website, take a look at the participating businesses, and make sure you thank your librarian next week. Moving down our list, we have a kind of a big update. We've got the fire chief candidate meet and greet coming up on April 17th. We've decided on 4 finalists.
Yeah, the Police and Fire Commission, they're the ones that actually select police and fire chiefs. And the process is very similar to what we did when we hired Police Chief Dean Smith a couple of years ago. But the Police and Fire Commission wants to get the public to get an opportunity to meet the candidates. Right now we have 4 candidates. They're actually all from out of state, so we'll be showing them some Oshkosh hospitality, but Tuesday, April 17th, over at the Convention Center from 5 to 7 p.m. It's really an open house. If you want to come in and meet them, shake their hands, chat with them for a bit, that's what the whole purpose of this is. And we're hoping that the public will come out and take an opportunity to do that.
Yes, we were collecting input on Polko and at the PFC, the Police and Fire Commission meeting, about things that they want to see from their future or the new Oshkosh Fire Chief. And so it's a great opportunity to kind of get a little more input in there too before those interviews take place the next day. Yeah,
this is an opportunity for even the PFC to observe how these candidates handle themselves in public, because the fire chief position is a very public position, so it's important to see how well these individuals interact with the public. And so they'll be picking up cues that they'll follow up with when they do the formal interview the next day on April 18th.
Yes, and this interview that's happening on April 18th is pretty extensive. There's several different panels, so maybe take us through what that's going to look like.
It is not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. In addition to an interview with the Police and Fire Commission, they also meet with 3 separate groups. One is a peer group of senior management and other people in the fire and public safety service areas, a community group, various community members, community leaders that are not associated with the city, and then employees within the city organization, employees that would typically interact with the fire chief in work situations. So get those 3 different perspectives, and then those groups individually report back to the Police and Fire Commission with their report about strengths and weaknesses of the various candidates. And then after that, the Police and Fire Commission will review and hopefully select somebody.
Yes, and the hope is that the selected person will be starting that same month that Chief Franz will be retiring, which will be June, right?
June 8th is Chief Franz's last day, so we're hoping that there'll be very little void there. Try to get that person in there, whoever that person may be. But the whole idea is to give us plenty of time so that gap is minimized, and maybe not at all. If there's a little overlap, that's probably not a bad thing either.
Definitely. So once more, April 17th at the Oshkosh Convention Center, 5 to 7 p.m. We look forward to meeting the 4 finalists that are up for interviews for the new fire chief position. Next down on our list here, Mark, we've got some bridge closures that we want to make people aware of for next week. It's that time of year that they're doing some maintenance and some washing of the bridges, so just be aware of some of the closures that are coming up here.
Yeah, each of the 4 main bridges will be closed for 1 day for this maintenance. It's primary cleaning, but Main Street Monday, April 9th, that's the one coming up the soonest, and then later on, Oregon Street on Tuesday the 10th, Wisconsin on Wednesday the 11th, and then Oshkosh Avenue the following Tuesday, April 17th from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. are all the times that they'll be closed. There may be some other times where they're going to be lane closures, but not an entire bridge closure. So, keep an eye out on our Facebook page and all that, but these ones right now are still planned for closure, so plan accordingly when you're planning your workday, especially for people who are going into work or maybe getting out of work a little earlier.
Definitely, and I believe they posted signs today, so just make sure you plan your morning commute that day a little bit, give yourself a little extra time. Detours will be posted as always as well. Moving down, Washington and Court Street reconstruction project is starting in just a couple of weeks here, Mark. This is a big project, so tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the major part of it is the reconstruction of Washington, but Court Street is a big part of that because the storm sewer goes down there, and then some of the offshoot streets, Otter from State to Broad, Washington from Main to Broad Street getting done, State Street from Otter to just north of Wagoo, and then State Street parking lot and Otter Street parking lot are both going to get done. All those are going to get done. So the area in yellow is the area that's going to be reconstructed. But the big thing we want to let people know about is for the first 2 weeks of the project, we are anticipating that a little change of pace. Right now, Wagoo, Otter, and CP are one-way streets. Wagoo and CP are one-way eastbound, Otter is one-way westbound. They are going to switch for a 2-week period to 2-way streets. We need to do that because there'll be limited access for people. So we want to make sure that with this construction going on, that you have that access. So look for that. You're going to have to get used to it. We're going to have signs and barricades and things up there so you can see that. But be aware. But that won't be for the whole project. It'll just be for that beginning of the project. So keep your eye on the website.
Right.
You know, we'll be providing updates as time goes on as well. But starting April 16th, just be a little careful out there.
Definitely. And I highly encourage people to subscribe to the email lists that are listed on our website. This project will be listed on there, and you'll get updates every step of the way when they make changes to the different routes and things like that. And I think, Mark, it's a great reminder for people as we approach construction season here that just slow down if you start seeing those signs. It is going to be a little slower around there, and we just want people to kind of be patient and make sure you're being safe around construction.
Access is going to be maintained for commercial properties because that's important to everybody. And we anticipate it'll be done in the fall, and those things generally work out well, but just be patient.
Definitely. We thank everyone in advance for that, right?
Yeah.
One other item that we wanted to talk about before we get to our question mark segment is a little update on our Polko site. We did post a new question yesterday from the Parks Department. That question has to do with Rouge Park, and the main two questions is if they would like to have downward focused lighting on the trails, the existing trails that are located in Rouge Park, as well as the installation of outdoor exercise equipment. So you can find it, as you can see here, on our Polko site. It's super easy to sign up and respond. I'm hoping that there are several people, well, a lot of people that are already signed up. We highlighted it in State of the City. It's a great tool to give some input.
Yeah, so this is just this version of the survey. If you've ever traveled the trails over there, you probably have some input on it, and we certainly welcome that, whether you live in that neighborhood or not.
Definitely. So www.polko.us/Oshkosh. There's links on our website. There's a few other questions out there that are active on that site as well. So we definitely value the public's input and encourage you to check it out. So with that, we're moving into the end of the first half of the show, and that is our question mark segment, a chance where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they'd like about city projects that are happening right here in Oshkosh. So let's take a look at what the question is this week. All right, Mark, question is, what play area is being removed from South Park? We haven't heard from South Park for a little while.
Well, because it's been under construction, there's not a lot of activity going on there right now. But the old play area, we've actually had a number of newer player areas, and there was some misinformation out there that people were concerned that we were taking away the universal playground that was just put in a couple years ago, or the splash pad. They're a little inaccessible right now. Splash pad's too cold anyway, but the older play area, and I know some people hanging on to nostalgia, they love the old play area, but actually as time goes on, they develop little flaws in them that become safety dangers, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. So new play equipment is generally what you do to avoid those types of problems. And this is a rendering of what that play area is going to look like. So this will be in addition to the splash pad and in addition to the universal playground. So great opportunity to have some new equipment out there for a new generation of children to enjoy. And yes, I understand that some people are still hanging on to some of the great old play area there, but it really is past its prime, and in the interest of safety, we need to take it out.
Yes, and the Parks Director did tell me that they are donating that old play equipment to, I believe it's called Kids Across America. Check out our Facebook page, we've got more information, but that old equipment is not going to waste, it's not getting thrown away, it's going to a country that is in poverty where other children can enjoy it. So we're looking forward to checking out that new playground. I think it looks pretty cool, but for more information, just check out our Facebook page. We'll be posting updates on that as well. So great question this week, and thanks for the response, Mark.
Happy to.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the Common Council meeting agenda for the upcoming meeting on Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
Holding a phone takes precious attention away from the road. That's why handheld cell phone use is now illegal in Wisconsin work zones, and fines start at $40. Driving deserves your undivided attention. It's about safety for workers and for all motorists. So when you see orange cones, please put down the phone. The Wisconsin DOT urges you to help us achieve 0 deaths on Wisconsin roads.
Calling all pop culture fanatics. Your favorite characters are coming to the Oshkosh Public Museum. Replay is the ultimate throwback, featuring more than 30 vibrant pieces of art that celebrate the comic books, movies, and superheroes of the iconic 80s. Experience Replay, the exhibition, on display February 18th to May 13th at the Oshkosh Public Museum. For more information, visit oshkoshmuseum.org.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report here on GovTV. Thanks again for joining us. Now it's in the second half of the show. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. So Mark, the first thing that we want to discuss on the agenda here before we get down into consent is a presentation talking about one of the goals that Council has given you, which has to do with the facilities. So tell us a little bit about what this presentation will involve.
Well, the council had given me some direction consistent with our strategic plan about maintaining our public infrastructure and our buildings, about not just the condition of some of our city buildings, but also space needs analysis. So what we've done is we've inventoried what information we've captured to date and collected, and we're actually doing pretty well in terms of space needs as well as the condition of the facilities, with 3 exceptions, and those are City Hall and the police and fire facilities. So some of them has to do with staffing, but at the same time, the City Hall facility is something that hasn't been evaluated in a very long time. It's probably been 20 years since that was looked at. So the idea is to give a report to council on what our assessment has identified in terms of conditions, but now what's missing, and really the missing link is the space needs analysis. So we're going to be starting on that.
So kind of looking at some recommendations possibly for changes to be made in the future?
Right now it's really going to be about, are we going in the right direction? Because what we're probably going to need to do is get an individual facility assessment done for City Hall building, the public safety building, which is police, as well as the fire facilities out there. But police and fire both have a more of an inkling towards, you really have to take a look at the staffing levels and the adequacy of that, which is actually another goal that council set for me. So in those 2 areas, we're going to need to take a look at both staffing as well as facilities.
Excellent. Moving down the agenda, a couple of bid awards that we're looking at that are kind of interesting. One being to Northern Divers USA for water intake pipeline inspection services. That's for the water filtration department. Tell us what these divers are going to be doing down here.
There is a huge intake that feeds into the water filtration plant from Lake Winnebago. And actually last winter we were a little concerned because some ice buildup had gotten in there and clogged up the intake a little bit. We had to take some real quick measures in the middle of winter to make sure that that water flow kept going into the treatment plant. So the idea here is to take a look at it every couple years and just see the condition of the intake pipe. Is there any damage? Did the ice that we knew was there a couple years ago, did that cause any damage? So the idea is to ensure the safety of our water by periodically checking things like intakes, and the only way you can do it is send a dive team down to take a look at it.
Wow. It's one of those things that you never really think about. It's always kind of behind the scenes, so it's interesting to hear how it all works down there.
Absolutely, and these are, it's things we take for granted, and I'm happy that people can take them for granted, but we can't take them for granted because it's public safety at hand. So it's something that we do as part of our routine.
Excellent. Well, glad to hear that that's happening. The other thing that we want to talk about here, the award bid for a 6-wheel pure vacuum dual steer street sweeper with broom. That's a big vehicle. Tell us what this is. Why is it important?
Our street sweepers are out there to clean the streets and prevent that residue that collects on the curbs from getting into our storm sewer system and ultimately into the Fox River and Lake Winnebago. We're under EPA regulations, Environmental Protection Agency, so we regularly sweep streets on a weekly basis from April through October and maybe even longer depending on the weather. That's a requirement that we have. It seems to be the most effective way to get rid of what are called suspended solids that can get into the water. So we have to sweep up just like you have to sweep up at home. You don't like it, but it's something we need to do, and it's just part of our routine.
And it's interesting to hear the background on the street sweepers too, because a lot of people think that they're just sweeping up the streets to make them clean and look nice, but it's a lot more than that. It has a lot to do with the stormwater. Like
It goes well beyond aesthetics.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Definitely. Moving on down consent agenda, we have the approval for distribution of Fisk Gallup trust funds by the Senior Services Division. And this is for medical services to people who are qualified within their income. So kind of give us some background on the history of where this came from.
This goes back 90 years to 1928, where Fisk Gallup family made a donation to the city. The history tells us that maybe it was going to be used for a possible seed money for a hospital, which never came out, but identifying a way to help low-income people get some basic health services. It doesn't cover anything like a hospital stay or anything, but just basic preventive type of care. It's offered through our Senior Services Division, but anyone in a low-income category can qualify for any of these things. And that includes just kind of little checkups, basic type of exams to see if there's anything that maybe they need to follow up with a physician or something like that. But the idea is it's all preventive. I think eye care is one of them as well. The whole idea is to make sure that if there's any signs of anything bad, that this might point it out and get you in the direction of getting proper care and treatment for that.
Right, and I remember the conversation that we were having with the Parks Director on this, that it's not just for seniors too, just because it's being held at the Senior Services Center.
Exactly, so you certainly check out our website and take a look at that, but the idea was to have this benefit anyone of low income, not just seniors.
Definitely. So yeah, like you said, more information on the city website about the Fisk Gallup Trust and the resources available there. Moving on, under new resolutions, we have the designation remainder of Lake Shore site as a community park. So this has been a long conversation leading up to this. We've collected a lot of public input, and this is the recommendation of the Advisory Parks Board that we change this site to a community park.
Yes, as you know, we had done a PULCO survey, and about 72% of the residents that were surveyed, really across all age groups, felt that a community park was the best use. So the site you see here, the purple is where the Oshkosh Corporation development would be, and it's really the balance that's north of the commercial area that's privately owned. And this doesn't include Mary Jewell Park because that's already an existing park. The idea is, what do we do with the balance of it? And so pretty overwhelmingly it was that a community park should be put in place there rather than perhaps continuing a 9-hole golf course. So Parks Advisory Board agreed with that, and they're forwarding their recommendation to the council for them to take action on this.
And so the question is, what's next? What's going to be going into this community park?
Assuming that council approves that, we'll go through a master planning process like you see for other parks. We have the land, it's just about what facilities would you like to see. I anticipate there'll be some competition for varying types of park uses. And so there's about 70 acres left, but I say there's only 70 acres. 70 acres can get gobbled up pretty quick when you have a lot of different competing park uses. So it'll be a good process for people to get involved in and give us your input so the Parks Board can make some recommendations to council.
Yes, so we look forward to a lot of great discussion on that, and once again, be on the lookout for some public input meetings and some more PULCO questions coming up on that topic. Next item is the approval of Capital Catalyst matching funds from Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund. So tell us a little bit about this revolving loan fund, how it's been going so far, and why this is working so well.
The revolving loan fund are residual funds from some of the TIF districts that have closed, the tax increment districts, and the council set up a revolving loan fund. And those are typically through GoEDC, committee reviews loans and gives them out. The state is making these capital catalyst funds that can be used for loans and or grants, but they need matching funds. So we can actually take some of our existing revolving loan fund money and use to leverage it, so we get double the amount of money. So we're applying for a $125,000 grant, and In exchange, we have to provide matching funds. We were going to use it for economic development anyway, so basically this gives us another $125,000 to make available to businesses. So the first one we did a couple years ago was highly successful. We've loaned out the money from our funds and then loaned and or granted money out of the state funds, and everybody's paying back their loans. Things are going very well. So this is just re-upping this program to make it available to other businesses that might be looking for ways to expand. So we're really excited about this.
That's excellent. And another great opportunity for people to understand how the revolving loan fund works and why it's such a great thing. So great news on that end. The item following this one is the approval of specific implementation plan for Oshkosh Corporation Global Headquarters. Now, this was discussed at the Plan Commission a few times, and they're recommending approval of this. Tell us a little bit more detail on this agenda item here.
Well, this is a requirement that has to be done in order for a facility such as this. The zoning that we put in place there is a very high level zoning, so the Plan Commission gets a very detailed review of this. So the details are out there. We're going to get them out on our website, and you'll see them in the agenda packet. Some of the big discussions were going on. Oshkosh Corporation obviously is very proud of the products that they make, and trucks are a big thing of what they do. And so the Plan Commission had a good discussion about how many vehicles should be out there at any one time, because they put them on pads, and but those are types of things they looked at. They looked at some of the renderings of the architecture, the landscaping, things like that. So those are the things that you go through at a much higher level than you do for maybe a more routine type of commercial or industrial operation. This is very high profile. Oshkosh Corp has been very cooperative. They want a high level, we want a high level, so it actually works very well. But it's important that everybody sees that we are holding them to a high standard, and that they want to meet that very high standard.
And the cooperation's been great so far, you said.
Yeah, going really well. So, and we will be giving updates, and I think this is just an opportunity to let everybody know that we're still working on this.
Definitely. And definitely tune into the latest Plan Commission meeting for more information on that. They were talking about it, and you can get a little more background information leading up to the council meeting for that too. The last item, Mark, that we want to discuss here under City Manager announcements and statements is the professional services agreement with Matrix Consulting Group for police staffing analysis. And you kind of referred to this a little earlier. Tell us a little bit about what this analysis involves.
Yeah, I did mention it earlier because one of the other goals the council set for me was to take a look at ways to improve police and fire staffing. So this one is for the police department to take a look at staffing levels, comparatively speaking, based on our needs, and make some recommendations. Those recommendations will be forwarded to council, and council will use those recommendations as they consider future budgets. The other part of it will be how to fund it. That's not part of this study. This is really more to take a look at the public safety aspects of it. So you'll see a follow-up one for fire after a new chief's hired, and we'll have that new chief be part of that process. But Chief Smith has reviewed proposals from companies nationwide, and this Matrix Consulting Group seems to be the one that we think is the best fit for Oshkosh.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to more background information on that during the council meeting on Tuesday. So that does it for this episode of City Manager's Report. We are out of time. So Mark, as always, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
It's always a pleasure.
It's great to have you. Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, April 10th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming or updates. Or you can check out our YouTube channel for meeting replays and past episodes of some of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Rohloff, you can send it to us on Twitter, post it on our Facebook page, or you can email it to us and he will answer it on the next episode of CMR. So once again, thank you very much for joining us on City Manager's Report. We'll see you next time.